Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. This is where we take, quite a lot of information actually, and boil it down to the insights you really need to know.
Yeah.
Today, we are diving right into international rugby, specifically the massive buildup to the British and Irish Lions Test Series. And our mission, our focus for this deep dive, is to really unpack the very direct words of Wallabies head coach Joe Schmidt. This was right after their key warm-up game. We're drawing heavily from a detailed Planet Rugby article, and honestly, what Schmidt says gives this fascinating, almost raw look into a team facing a huge, huge challenge. And hey, if you're obsessed with rugby insights like we are, make sure you hit subscribe to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive right now. Don't miss out.
Yeah, what's really striking here is how Schmidt's comments, they go way beyond just a typical post-match chat. He's essentially laying bare the realities, the pressures of preparing a top team. It's actually a brilliant insight into high-performance environments, not just rugby. His honesty is, well, pretty refreshing.
Okay, so let's start with that warm-up game. The Wallabies against Fiji. Their only hit out before the Lions. The final score was tight, 21-18. Captain Harry Wilson got the winning try, lay on. Now you might think, okay, win's a win, job done. But the Planet Rugby piece says Schmidt was, and this is the quote, understandably frustrated. That sounds like coach speak for really quite unhappy. What was frustrating about a win?
Yeah.
Especially the first game back. Well, exactly. And Schmidt himself kind of acknowledged that, expecting perfection after just 5 trainings together, well, that was always going to be more hope than reality. The players hadn't played together since the end of year tour. So, yeah, some rust was expected, but I think the frustration came from what he saw, or maybe what he didn't see. He needed signs of progress, foundations being laid, and clearly key parts of the performance just weren't good enough in his eyes. It wasn't about being flawless. It was about seeing the right building blocks. Right, so it's less about the result itself and more about the process, how they actually played.
Precisely. For a coach like Schmidt, especially preparing for the Lions, how you win matters. Are the core systems working? Are the fundamentals sound? A scratchy win where things aren't clicking, well, that doesn't build much confidence for facing one of the best touring sides in the world. His frustration signals he saw fundamental issues, not just surface errors.
And he was pretty open about those issues. The article mentions him talking about a myriad of things needing improvement. Myriad, that's quite a word.
It really is. It paints a picture, doesn't it? Not just 1 or 2 tweets needed. He pointed specifically at tactical stuff, set-piece execution. For instance, feeling they didn't quite get rewarded for our scrum and didn't get reward for our line-out. Now, those are, absolutely foundational. Your scrum and line-out, that's your platform. If that's not working, it's hard to build anything else.
Okay, so set-piece issues, definite red flags. But maybe even more telling, you mentioned skill execution. He called out specific moments.
He did. He highlighted 2 tries being pulled back for 2 forward passes. Think about that. Points literally left on the field because of basic handling errors under pressure. And he was very clear. The team needs to take responsibility for and be more accurate with those moments. It's about precision, accountability, not blaming refs, but looking inward.
So you take the scrum, the line out, those 2 forward passes. He essentially mapped it out.
And we basically did, yes.
Yeah.
He said pretty directly if you fix those 4 things, they'd be in a much stronger position to at least control the result. It's almost like, here's the work on list, lads. No ambiguity. It's stark, but it's also incredibly clear. Focus the minds,
Right. And that leads us to maybe the most fascinating part, his comments on confidence. When asked how confident he felt, he just flat out said, I'm not really a confident sort of person. There's no real confidence, but there is a quiet resolve.
Oh.
Quiet resolve. In elite sport, that feels different.
Yeah.
Very different from the usual chest thumping.
It's hugely significant,
Yeah.
especially heading into a Lions series where, let's be honest, externally the Wallabies are probably seen as underdogs. Quiet resolve suggests a focus on the process, on inner belief, built through hard work, not just outward projections of confidence. It's about substance. It's about disciplined effort, focusing on what you can control, building beliefs step by step rather than just, hoping for the best or putting on a brave face.
And he linked that directly to winning back support, didn't he? Hoping that resolve over the course of the 3 matches can build to something that will earn us the support of a very interested group. It sounds like he knows they need to bring Australian rugby fans along with them through performance, not just talk.
And speaking of bringing fans along, if you're enjoying this deep dive and want to stay across all the key rugby analysis, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession. It really helps us keep bringing you this content. Absolutely. And the idea of building support through resolve touches on the external view, too. How do you build that internal resolve when everyone outside might be writing you off? Schmidt acknowledged that. He said, externally, it will look like that, meaning it'll look like they're up against it, especially after that Fiji game and with the Lions starting well.
Yeah, he didn't shy away from it. He said they just didn't play well enough against Fiji for anyone to expect them to, quote, go bowling into Brisbane and knock the Lions over. That's brutally honest.
Well, we were...
Almost managing expectations downwards publicly.
Or maybe just grounding them in reality. He followed that up by saying the goal is to build that quiet resolve inch by inch, that inch-by-inch idea. That's classic grind-it-out mentality. It's pragmatic. It acknowledges the mountain they have to climb against the Lions. You don't conquer it in one leap. You do it through consistent incremental gains, fixing the scrum, nailing the line out, cutting out those errors, inch by inch. And it shows he's across everything, too. He gave an update on Noah Lolesio's injuries, sounding hopeful there. And he's obviously watching Andy Farrell's Lions selections closely. Every little piece feeds into that overall picture.
So, pulling it all together then, what this deep dive into Schmidt's comments really shows is a coach being, well, incredibly direct, honest about where the team is, crystal clear on what needs fixing, and favoring this deep-seated, quiet resolve over any sort of shallow confidence. It really feels like he's trying to build genuine belief, earn belief, not just wish for it.
Exactly. And that approach, while maybe not always comfortable to hear, is probably vital at this level. Success against a side like the Lions isn't usually built on hype. It's built on nailing the fundamentals, on mental toughness, on that consistent, quiet application Schmidt seems to be demanding. It's about foundations. Right. Thank you so much for joining us for this Rugby Obsession deep dive. Please do remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession wherever you get your podcasts, your deep dives, so you don't miss the next one.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. We'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.